Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Press McKissack.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Profit Share Podcast. I'm your host, Press McKissack.
And I'm Linda McKissack.
Well, welcome back, Linda, to our December episode of Profit Share Podcast. Today we want to talk to you about a topic that Linda and I love as it relates to Profit Share, which is the idea of being a giver. So Linda, when I say that in regards to Profit Share, what sticks out to you?
Well, I think it's counterintuitive, first of all, Press, but I actually think it's not just profit share. It's anything, building your sales business, anything in the world where you're serving other people. If you just come from giving, it's kind of counterintuitive because ultimately you want something, an end result, but the way you get there is actually not by focusing on what you want, but actually by giving that person what they need.
Yeah, so when you say counterintuitive, do you mean in particular profit share? Usually someone, when they first think about profit share, wants to do that because they want to make a certain amount of money from passive income, right?
Yeah, which there's nothing wrong with that. But what you have to do is set that as your goal or whatever you want and then let go of that. I mean, we've all been around someone, Press, where you can always tell that everything is about what they're trying to get. And it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't work. You almost have to set the goal that you want because goals are important and then just let go of that and now figure out the path to get there is by serving other people and giving to other people.
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind for me is thinking about it like a scoreboard, right? So if profit share, the people who make the most in profit share are not worried about what they get, they're worried more about what they give, then in a way that kind of makes contribution like the scoreboard to profit share.
Right. And it's the pathway to ultimately getting what it is you want. Yeah,
I love that. So I also kind of think about it, if we use an analogy, you're kind of like a mirror, right? Like when you focus on profit share and you look at your results, you can almost think of it like putting up a mirror in front of you and thinking about, am I getting the people, at least from my experience, when I look at your profit share and those who really focused on it, the ones who are the biggest givers are the ones who receive the most. So if you're not getting what you want out of profit share, you might look in the mirror a little bit and say, where am I not giving more? Where am I not serving more? Where else can I contribute at a level that's going to give me more relationships or build more equity in those relationships?
Yeah, because when you bring value to the world, you can't keep the money away. So you could just kind of put that to the side and say, how do I bring value to the world in the relationship to profit share? And that is to help agents solve problems that they have, contribute, give, pour into their lives without knowing whether you're ever going to get a return or not. Because that's the one thing that none of us can control is when or if they actually decide to join us. Now, most do, and their statistics tell us, after so many certain things, or if we can get them to a certain level of, self-discovery and things like that, they will join, but there's not 100% guarantee, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle. They not only kind of keep score of how much they've given, but they also kind of keep score of like when somebody leaves their profit share tree or whatever. You got to put all that aside and let all that work itself out, whatever it may, and just be committed to being a giver and contributing and knowing that in the long run it's going to pay off.
Yeah, when I think about your journey, your and Jimmy's journey, it really follows this model. But when you look back, I don't think you were knowingly doing it, right? But you were following this idea of contribution ends up bringing more to you, especially as it relates to people looking at you guys as influential and then joining the company. What can you look back at when you think about y'all's journey and say, this is where I watched that show up in a big way?
Well, first of all, I think part of my personality is when I look at Working Genius is galvanizing, which means if I truly believe about something, I want the rest of the world to get that benefit too, right? And we always start our meetings a lot of times with people and say, where has KW changed your life, right? Because I think people need to see first, because when you're that convicted about something, it becomes easier to want that for other people. And, I've got to want people to win. And so by doing that, that's where I find out what their gaps are and then just pour myself into helping them do that.
Yeah. Do you have can you think back on any relationships where you did that and it paid out over time? Like they didn't join immediately, but you did the process, right? You gave, and then eventually it benefited.
Oh yeah, so many. I don't even know where to start with most of them.
There's about 9,000
at
so
least.
pick one.
Well, and even just I think about in the general, conversation of like when I went up to build the region in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, so many times I would just get up in front and teach people things and teach classes and be on phone calls with people to help them, and no idea whether they would or wouldn't join, but there began to be a pattern that kind of evolved that said, normally over time somebody will see the value and join. And it's funny because I was on my coaching call this morning, and one of the things that my coach said was the more time people spend with you, the more they want to commit to you, and to, in this case, might be, spend money with you or spend more time with you. And it's kind of the same kind of thing. We have to get people to self-discover that we have validity to help them with whatever they want to help with, and you have to give some to kind of show them that. And, you have to get them to self-discover that the company has the tools to help them. And so a lot of times you're giving way before you ever even know if you're going to get. So
I thought of something as you were going through that. Do you think being incredibly learning-based is a prerequisite to being a giver?
I think it helps because, to be honest with you, what are you going to give to someone that has a gap or a problem if you've not learned yourself, either one of two ways, through books or through life experiences, right? So I think it's definitely, I think it's super important, to be honest with you, because if you're not learning based, you're not growing. If you're not growing, how do you help other people grow?
Yeah, like I will tell you from being around Linda a lot, she's at the front of a class. If Keller's presenting or speaking, there's a good chance she's in the room. Family reunion, mega camp, I can't remember the last one you missed.
Never missed one.
Okay, so
Ever.
Why do you why do you keep showing up? You've heard everything before. We always say success just repeats in a new cycle, right?
Right.
They find a new bow to wrap it around. Why do you just keep showing up to hear what you choose to hear?
Yeah, well, several reasons. One, sometimes I didn't get it the first time. Most of the time I didn't get it the first time. I think some of the stuff, especially by people who are super wise like Gary, their wisdom is so deep that you're not necessarily the person that's ready to receive and act on that right away. So you have to keep developing you, and sometimes you have to hear the same things over and over because you weren't the person that was ready to hear them. And then plus you have different life experiences from the information that you've learned. You go out in the world and you try some and you come back and now you have more questions and more, thoughts and ideas. And so going back into those environments, just develops you even deeper and more.
Yeah. Well, and then, so you're learning based, right? So it fuels you with ideas. And then if you're, cut from the same cloth like you are, you're not learning to learn, you're learning to do. Right.
Or to help someone else. And sometimes I'm just affirming what I know. Like, for example, every time I go to Mega Camp and everybody's up on stage, what it affirms with me is there's not really any new way to build this business. There's just new tools to use to do the same thing.
Sure.
So the same way I built a real estate business to 200 transactions a year is exactly what anybody should do right now. You just got better tools, right now to do that with.
Yeah.
So
or different tools.
And it's kind of like what Gary says when he picks up a book. He picks up a book to either validate something that is a true, firm belief that he already has on something, or it changes his mind.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'm reaffirming, okay, this is the way this business is done, and it's not any different. Just different tools and different things you can use to do the same thing that we all did to build our businesses. And so that's good. It's good if things haven't changed, because now I know how to help people do what they need to do.
Well, that reminds me of a quote I heard recently. It says, models are timeless and tactics are timely.
Exactly.
Right. So the models never change. Like database never changes.
Right.
However, the tactics for how to do your database, like I'll give you a good example, farming.
Yeah.
So when you were farming, You didn't have like Facebook and things like that. So your version of farming was mailers or door knocking or an event, which, by the way, all those things still relevant today, still work today. New tactics might be Facebook group, right? Like you didn't have that back then, but now they have it today. And instead of just farming a neighborhood with traditional ways, that's a new tactic that can be added in. But again, the model of picking a neighborhood that has a certain amount of turnover and systematically going through and communicating with them on a regular basis, that model never changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Well, okay, so let's kind of tease this out a little bit more. So the idea is to really be, I think, like we talked about, learning based is fundamental. It gives you the fuel to then be a giver. Then you go out and you be willing to give into the world with being okay with you may get nothing back, which we both know never happens. You always will receive some benefit.
It may be not exactly the recruit joining under you.
Exactly, right. There will be some benefit, whether it's them joining or not is it may be today, it may be a year from now, it may be like some of the recruits 10 years from now, right? Yeah. So let's talk about ways that anyone who's listening to this can actually implement being a giver into their normal daily habit in life if they want to focus on profit share in 2026.
Well, I would say the first thing is, we're at the end of the year. It's a nice time to sit down and reevaluate and think through. And, learn yourself, like what things do you have that you could add value to someone else? What are the things that you've either already learned yourself or you're trying to learn and do right now that you could bring other people along with you? Yeah. I think people get hung up on, well, what have I got to help someone else with? You've always got something. Even if it's something you're trying to accomplish in 2026, that you are willing to be transparent enough to bring somebody along with you that also wants to accomplish that. Even though it's not polished, it's not perfect, people will value the time that you spend with them, even if it's not perfect or whatever. They appreciate that. So I think we want to wait till we have some amazing thing to give. There's always something to give. Yeah. One, it might just be the thought of thinking of them. We had Dana and I had a great girl on our podcast that she sends every agent she does a deal with. It says, we make a great pair, a card that has a pair on the front. Just things like that so that you keep that relationship and that door open. Yep. And then you look for little things to either give or an opportunity to help or invite them to something. I
remember Caroline Huo from California, who she's one of our luxury agents, and when she has a listing, and obviously there's multiple offers, right? And only one buyer's going to get it, and let's say there's 3 other buyers who didn't get it. She will send a gift card to the agent, to the ones who didn't get it.
Yeah, and what I would wonder though is, does she have a plan to continue that relationship so that she can deepen it enough that she can actually recruit them into her downline? I'm going to venture a bet, because you can do some of that stuff and not have more fruit, right? So that's where being, conscious about consistent, a kind of a longer term plan.
It's no different than mailing to a neighborhood one time and expecting you to get a bunch of listings.
Yeah, not going to happen. So my question would be, I think that's fabulous. Now, could we help Caroline actually take that to a deeper level and get the fruits of it?
Yeah. Well, so again, with that in mind, the idea that you're talking about of whether you've already done it or whether you're on the journey. So we actually learned this, I think it's, I'm trying to remember what book that is. Oh man, I'll think of it in a minute. But anyways, there's a really good book that talks about if you're trying to build something, a company, a movement of some sort, right? Like there's different roles that you take in your story as you tell it to people, as you're building whatever it is you're building. And you have to figure out where you are depending on what your story is. So for example...
Is it like a story... Daniel Miller?
No, it's Russell Brunson's book on...
Secrets?
Yes, Expert Secrets. Thank you. That came to it. Expert Secrets, great book. And in the book, he talks about sometimes you're the what's called the leader. And the leader is the person who's already done the thing. So when Linda is a giver in a lot of cases. She's speaking like, for example, if you're teaching on wealth building, you're teaching from a perspective of the leader because you've already built the wealth and you're coming back to teach the people what you've done so they can go on the journey and be like you or do what you did. The other side, though, which is the part you mentioned that most people don't think about, is the journeyer. And I think that one is way overlooked. The journeyer is the person who says, you know what? I know I need to lead generate 2 to 3 hours a day, and I haven't done it, but I'm going to commit this next year that I'm going to do it. And I promise you, if you committed, let's just say it was 30 days you start. In your first 30 days of doing that, you would start to bear fruit and to see fruit from that. You then could go to people and say, hey, I've made a commitment this year that I'm going to lead generate for 2 to 3 hours every day. And I've already done it for a month, and I'm well on my way, but I'm looking for other people who want to do it with me. You would be very valid to people very quickly and be viewed as a giver because you're to the right people. They're going to look at you as aspirational, and you've only been doing it for 30 days more than they have.
Yeah.
But it's because you've committed to do the hard thing.
Yeah, and you're going to get an extra benefit because you're going to have that accountability. You're going to be really good at it because people are showing up with you. But also one thing I want to point out that I think people struggle with, Press, is when you understand that the journey and all that stuff, to understand you're not the hero, the person is.
Oh, that's good.
You're not the hero, the customer is. You're not the hero, the recruit is. And so I think that's where a lot of people struggle is they want to be the hero, and we got to make that person the hero.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. What about... like offering to coach someone for free. I know one thing, you don't do as much coaching, as much one-on-one coaching per se, but what you have done really well is, hey, I'll do a call with you. Would it be helpful if we did a call on this? So, that would be another area talking about tactical steps. If you're really good at a particular thing in conversation with agents that you meet, you might just offer up, hey, if you want to do a call or a Zoom or a meeting on this topic, and spend an hour on it, we'll spend an hour on it and we'll go through it. So I think there's some other things you can do there. It doesn't have to be long-term commitments. It can be short-term commitments.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think making a long-term commitment would be a mistake because then you give them, you become a coach instead of someone that helps them see the value of coming over to be in the proximity of you and others.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Linda, what else on giving in particular as you think about how people can practically implement in 2020? What about teaching?
Teaching is a great way.
I think that's one of the best places to start.
I mean, Gary Keller built his whole company on teaching. I've built the Ohio Valley region on teaching. I think teaching is a great way. And I think picking things that you want to master, because time is so limited, you got to figure out ways that you get more than one benefit. And so, you and I talked about this, teaching things that we really need to master is a great way to do that. And so I'm there mastering this craft or this concept, but at the same time, I'm bringing other people in and pouring into them, and I'm becoming more and more valid so that I can get that person on across the line eventually to join.
Yeah, it's really good. That's really good. Well, Linda, I think ultimately when you look at profit share, and it's an abundance game.
Yes.
So when you decide that you're going to play this game, you're really making the decision to be someone who's a giver, to be someone who comes from abundance, because that's really the way that people are, in today's day and age, people are going to sniff out selfish motive really fast.
Yeah, so quick. Yes, so quick. And honestly, it feels ucky to you as well. I always relate it back to how I used to go in and get listings. If I went in and did nothing but talk about myself and sell and tell, I felt horrible when that appointment was over, right? And it didn't help me win anyway because it wasn't making them the hero. It wasn't helping figure out what they needed or wanted. And when I switched to how do I serve them, how do I figure out if I am even the right person to help them, and I'm okay if I'm not, then everything changed. The whole world opened up. So I think it's you cannot come from scarcity. You have to come from abundance, and you have to be okay that it might take 1 year or 10 years.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, from a practical sense, Linda, if someone says, you know what, this is going to be my year, I want to be a giver. Like, I want to be intentional about the conversations, the relationships that I'm already going to have because I'm out selling real estate, right? Like, I think about it, the more houses you sell, the more at-bats you have to build relationships with people who may be a great fit for our company. And so the question is, are you going to make the commitment to go deeper with those people, or are you going to make the commitment that you're just going to make the transaction about your client and miss we call it walking over dollars to get to dimes, right? Miss the opportunity. So give them a little bit of coaching, Linda, on picking some people next year as they go into the year. Should they just look at who they do deals with? Should they pick some people and put them on a list? What would be your advice?
Well, I think you got to. I would pick some people because, like for me, I know that I can't do brand new people because it drains my energy thinking of all the things they don't know yet. But I can pick a high performing person because I feel like I know, their pain. I know what struggles they might have, and so I feel like I can better serve them. So thinking through that a little bit would help. And if I say if you can't do that, pick a few above your production, a few at your production, a few below, because even the people above your production, you have way more tools at your company than they have at theirs.
So you think around as low as 5, as most as 10?
Yeah, I wouldn't do more than 10 because this is a muscle, and the more you work this muscle, the more it becomes automatic, and that's what you want. You want for your brain to automatically go, oh, I thought of something I can do for this person. Oh, I thought of, you want it to be automatic. And right now it's not automatic because you haven't been working it.
Yep.
But, and then the other thing is don't forget the clients that you have. I looked up in my office one time and 8 of our best agents were my past clients. So I always like to say, I like to ask if I see somebody at a grocery store or a convenience store or a waitress, and I don't mind saying, hey, you might be good in my business because I don't know who will be good in my business. I'm sure I shocked a lot of people that I was good in this business,
Yeah.
So don't leave anybody out, and just you got to get your brain to see an opportunity, and the more you work this, the more you'll do that.
Yeah, that's so good. And again, remember what we focused on today is really what we call the influential agent model. And I think in last episode, or maybe the one before that, we went deep on the 2 ways to build your profit share in 2026. The influential agent model versus the new agent model. And for some of you listening, like, you should take every advantage of the influential agent model because you have influence and you do production, and it will make you better. To be honest, what I've seen is people who do the best at profit share also have big businesses over time because they practice what they preach, and because they lean into the systems, models, tools of the company, and they can't help but grow their business over time.
Yeah, and anybody could do the influential agent, and the best thing you can do to start is start recognizing other agents and complimenting them, and just realizing how important that relationship is, even if you don't do anything right away with this.
Yep.
You could start laying the foundation by sending people a card, saying thank you, making an extra phone call to them, moving up on your priority list, the other agent's relationship.
Yep.
Because I think that's where we mess up. We just kind of see it, like you said earlier, as transactional. But now I want to move that up and start looking for ways to start laying a foundation of great relationships in my industry. You could just start doing that now, even if you don't feel confident enough to do anything else yet.
Well, someone asked me recently, Linda, who was interested more in the influential agent model too. They said, what can I do? They were kind of like, hey, I'm not getting traction, I'm not getting results, and so I always go back to show me your calendar. And the question I proposed to them was, are you talking to an agent a day? And they're like, no. And I said, if you go back and look at your calendar and come back to me, and they haven't yet, but go back and tell me how many people a week, a month you're talking to, because I would venture to bet that you're not exercising the muscle, to your point.
Yeah.
And so that's a good place to start for those who want to do the influential agent model. If you'll commit to talk to an agent a day, it will build the muscle memory of thinking, how can I be a giver? Who can I serve? Right. And then again, the results will come.
Yeah, and it can't, we say this in the influential agent model class we have. People spell love Time. So you got to go deep with people, and more than likely you're just going surface level with people. So how do I go, even the ones that he he or she visited with last year, how can I go a little bit deeper with those people?
Yeah, that's right. Well, then the other path again is the new agent model,
Yeah.
and that's really built around systems. That's built around following a process, and that's been proven to work time and time again. As we've shared on this podcast, we have countless stories.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up today, just a reminder: 2 things that we're really excited about as we look at 2026. Number one is helping more people around profit share. If you are an agent and you want to build your profit share, remember that we have our course, which is Profit Share Mastery, which really goes deep on all of our models and really teaches you the skill sets. And we also have our sites, our profit share sites. So if you want access to either one of those, you can go to profitsharesites.com for the system, or you can go to profitsharemastery.com and get the course.
Yep.
Now, the other thing that we're really excited about is that we're really leaning into helping market centers win and scale their new agent recruiting.
And you know, Chris, to add to that, one thing that I love about the program that we have for market centers is we're noticing there is a way for the office to communicate with an agent if they give them a name of an existing agent.
Yep.
Whereas before, you didn't know if it fell in a black hole and anything got done or not, that they can communicate back and forth and keep you in the loop. And I think that is going to be a great tool for anybody who wants to build their influential agent, their profit share through influential agents, because now we have a system and a process that can be tracked. And the team
leader transparency on the process.
There's transparency, and you can be triggered to, they've had a meeting, I need to follow up with them.
Yeah, that's right.
They haven't had a meeting, I need to follow up and see what else I can do.
Because we always say recruiting is a team sport. So what we built into the tool for market centers was, let's say Linda's an agent and I'm the market center. She can refer an agent to me through a form that I can give to Linda. And when Linda inputs that information into the system, it's going to fire off that information over to the market center. And then as we progress through the pipeline, Linda will be notified when they come to career night, or when they meet one-on-one with the market center, or when they pass their exam.
Let me ask you a question, Preston. I don't know if we have this in the system yet, or we can do it. Is there a way that, let's say you're an agent in my office and you give me a name, that we have a system that starts keeping up with that, dripping on that recruit for our agents?
On behalf of the agent? All the drips are being done from the market center level. So the market center is dripping on that recruit and moving
Even though they're an existing agent?
Even though they're an existing agent. They're following through the process and they're getting touched, but it's from the market center perspective, not from the agent who referred.
But they are getting dripped on.
But the agent is getting notified
that they've done.
The referring agent is getting notified that certain things are happening, and we trigger that information to be passed back to the referring agent so that they, to your point earlier, can pick up the phone and help move the recruit forward, because sometimes the market center only gets so far, and having a little bit of extra firepower to push that recruit forward can get them over the line.
Well, especially if they've met with your team leader, it would be great to have a conversation and say, I just would love your thoughts and input. How did that go?
Right, because the leader may think we had a great meeting, and the agent thinks, I didn't get these 2 questions answered that I really needed to get answered, and so I'm not ready to move. And if the referring agent can then make that phone call and say, hey, how'd the call go? Well, it was really good. I didn't get clarity on these 2 things. Well, now that information can be passed back to the team leader, and we can move them forward. And I've seen this happen time and time again. So we're really excited about that. And beyond just the ability with the transparency with the referring agents, the tool that the market center now has to be able to build a system for new agent recruiting that's not dependent on a talented person, but it's actually now a system, and you just run it like a play. And inevitably, if the person who's running that system for the market center moves on to a new opportunity, everything the wheels don't fall off the wagon, as we say, right?
It keeps us more consistent. And I think that more consistency will pay off in the long run for the market centers.
100%. We're already seeing those results show up. So if that interests you, if you are in a market center and you want to pass information on to your market center leaders, or if you're a market center leader listening, you can go to mcsitespro.com and you can get more information and schedule a call with us to walk through exactly what that tool looks like. And again, we're really excited because we are helping us move into the future. Our company's gotten so big. In order for us to continue to level up and to be premier, we have to do things that's more automated. And with technology and AI and the things that we're building into these tools, it's just going to make life easier for everyone to be able to recruit and grow and scale their downline.
And we're going to change more lives. That's the best part.
Yeah, that's so true.
Awesome.
Well, we wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. We hope you guys have a wonderful New Year as we move. And Linda and I's biggest hope is you continue to listen, you continue to get value, but more than anything, you will make a commitment to change other people's lives by helping bring them to this great company.
Yep. Let 2026 be the year you commit to it.
Awesome. All right. We
Thank
love you all.
See you soon.
See ya.